Hello everyone and welcome to the VR School A to Z of Virtuality. I'm Associate Professor Erica Southgate. I've decided to do a video glossary for educators and students who are interested in the area of extended realities for education and just want to get a sense of what the main terminology is and what it means. So this is a bit of a taster series or a primer series on that. It's the first video in the series and today we'll be exploring A to E. So A is for augmented reality, which refers to computer generated content, which is then kind of overlaid on the real world. And this is mediated through either a smartphone screen or AR glasses. And also the new VR headsets allow for augmented reality too, although this is sometimes confusingly called mixed reality, which we'll get to in a future glossary video. So AR, which allows you to kind of overlay digital content, can be marker based. So for example, here's the top images of a page or a textbook. You point the tablet at it. There's a marker on there which triggers the digital image to pop up, which you can then explore, rotate, and kind of zoom in on for more information. Or there can be markerless AR, which means that there are sensors within the devices that you use which read the real world and allow digital content to pop up and be overlaid onto that. And an example of that is the second image. One great thing about AR for education is that it doesn't need a lot of expensive devices and that it's really great for particularly younger students to use because they don't need to use a headset to experience a form of extended reality for learning. So B is for biometrics. This is something you'll hear much more about in the future. Biometrics refers to information about our bodies and how devices collect information about our bodies through artificial intelligence. So biometrics can be physiological features about us, for instance, about our face, our hand geometry, our fingerprints, for instance, or it can be kind of behavioural attributes, for instance, how we walk. It could be proxemics or how close we stand and interact with others, either in the real world or measured in the real world through devices, or in virtual environments as avatars, for instance. And it can include things like eye gaze, pupil dilation, which can be proxy measures for engagement or emotional reaction. This type of data is really highly individualised and therefore considered sensitive data. And because extended reality technologies use artificial intelligence within the hardware and software that collect this type of information, we need to be really aware of the type of information that are being collected, the risks involved and the privacy implications. So reading the privacy disclosure statements is a really good place to start with biometric data, and there's an example of this on the right from Meta, which tells you what children's data, biometric data, will be collected through the use of their headsets and in their particular VR applications or environments. And it can include things like the voice of a child and the voices of others collected through cameras and microphones, visual information about the environment that the child is in, both the virtual environment but also the real world environment because there's a camera attached to those headsets, profile pictures and frequency and duration of activities in that. So it's important to understand biometric data, what's collected, and the privacy implications and the privacy settings on devices, which can allow you to curtail or at least try to control some of that biometric data collection. So keep this in mind when using this in schools. C is for cyber sickness. It can be called VR sickness or simulator sickness. And it basically is a type of, it's a bit like car sickness or travel sickness. It's where your mind becomes confused with your body and you begin to feel quite nauseous or dizzy when you're in a VR device. Now, there's ways that virtual environments are designed to increasingly mitigate against cyber sickness, but it's still good to know that you really shouldn't be in a VR headset for a super long time, and for children probably no more than 15 or 20 minutes in a classroom, and certainly not young children, because we need to look at the information on the headset providers or manufacturers on age, but also that as teachers we need to monitor for symptoms of cyber sickness, and students can self-monitor for that, because you don't want to get cyber sick because you can feel quite ill. Now, there are some people who never get cyber sick and some people who will always not feel very good in a headset. So it's just a very individually felt experience, and so we really do need to make students aware of that. Here's a poster produced through the VR School study which gives you some advice, a classroom poster if you're using VR in the classroom. You can download that for free from the VR School website. So let's all be aware of cyber sickness, because I've had it. It's certainly something I don't want to repeat. D is for digital twin. Now, this is a really interesting concept. Of course, we've tried to replicate real-world environments or historically accurate environments in virtual reality for a long time, but this is a really interesting idea that you have very accurately represented physical objects or things in the world in these environments, and that these representations or these types of twins are updated with real-time data, so that they change and adjust according to data that's collected and put into them. This is an emerging area, but something to look out for, and it's being used, for instance, by NASA at the moment to create training environments or training simulations for astronauts. Our final one for today is embodiment. Now, we often think about learning as cognitive, but of course learning is an embodied experience, and not only is it embodied, but it's also affective or about emotion, as educational psychologists will tell us. Now, embodiment can mean lots of things in extended reality technology. It can mean the types of avatars that we choose and our control over those and customization. It can mean the interactions that we have with the technology, particularly really natural gestural interactions that are becoming increasingly developed as part of virtual reality. So you don't need trackers anymore. You can use your fingers in natural ways in environments to pick up, manipulate virtual objects, which gives you a growing sense of control in those environments and presence or feelings of being there in the environments. It can also mean safety issues. So we need to understand, if we're using, for instance, augmented reality, what the distraction issue might be with being absorbed in a virtual, having digital content overlaid in the environment and being distracted by looking through devices or glasses with that. There can be privacy implications with those sorts of technologies when we look at other people's bodies and what biometric and other information is collected on them through our devices, whether that be a phone or smart glasses or a VR headset. And there's also a very large and interesting body of research which talks about body swappings in virtual reality. And they've tried to do, well, they've not tried to do, they've done experiments where they've allowed people to swap genders or ethnicities in virtual reality in order to see if that can increase empathy. And there's mixed kind of findings and results on that. It's a very interesting area to look into. So while early childhood educators often think of play and embodiment as part of learning, that our awareness of that as educators decreases as children get older and as we move through primary or elementary through to secondary and higher education. But embodiment is truly an important part of learning, and extended reality takes advantage of that or tries to amplify that to create deeper, more interesting, engaging and cognitively efficient, I suppose, and effective learning experiences. So something to look into further, notions of bringing back the body to education, so that we can all have a very enjoyable but also a highly effective kind of learning experience using this type of technology. So thank you so much for watching the first video in our video glossary. Coming up is F to J, and that won't be long away. Thank you for listening. I'm Erica Southgate, and please share these videos if you think teachers or students might be interested.